And we are live. So, well, fellas, we are one short. So, welcome everybody to the Reseller Roundtable. I'm Alton,
I'm
Scott.
Brian.
Scott, and Brian in the house.
Yep.
All right, so we're not used to it when it's not everyone's not here. We're not used to doing it like that.
Exactly. We have a system in place, but not tonight.
No, so hey, tonight we have a pretty. When I say it's a short topic, but it's actually a really important one, is how to increase your sales. Mainly going to be talking eBay, but I think this could actually transition to a lot of other platforms, maybe in the strategy or in certain aspects of it. So Brian, so what are your thoughts? What are some key initial thoughts on how we can increase it mainly on eBay at this moment?
Well, the topic came from we have a Facebook chat, and another Brian, is in our chat, and he messaged us this afternoon talking about some of the tips that we gave him have been working, and that's kind of the genesis of this idea. And because I forgot even what I told him, but so I asked him what was most effective, because this is the thing. When your sales are slow, there are a lot of, and I'm gonna talk from eBay, but like Alton said, parts of it can apply to different platforms. You have a lot of tools at your disposal that can help. You have promoted listings, regular and advanced, where you can actually do keywords. You have markdown sales, where you can put your inventory on sale. You can even tier it, which is what I do, which is what I really want to talk a lot about tonight, is your aged inventory system. You can send offers to likers. You can do coupons, public coupons, private coupons. Um, you can do and I don't even know if I told Brian this one. You could do a shipping discount. If you niche down, like I've been clothing and shoes, and now I'm about to go all shoes, but I have a shipping discount built into my eBay store, where if someone buys 3 or more items, they get a flat rate $12 shipping. So if they're buying jeans, if they're buying shirts, it encourages repeat buyers. It also encourages multi-quantity orders. And almost every day I get at least one customer who is taking advantage of that. I'm probably missing, there's probably even other things out there, but there are lots of tools that we can play with at our disposal. And I think, and this is the part that applies to different platforms. I'm in Tech and Sports and Daily Refinements Facebook group. And within that group, we have a dedicated shoe call. And one of the big shoe sellers in our group, Alfredo, he's not on eBay, but he also has an aged inventory system for Poshmark. So, and he does a lot of sales. So I think if you look at any platform, when you create a listing, especially eBay, it gets an initial boost. It's a new listing, so it kind of gets priority. So what I do is I don't do anything. I just price it at market at a good price, and I let it go. And on the first of each month, I have a system where I promote items that are 30 days or older. I don't promote them until then. Then I go ahead and promote them. So that should give them a boost. And then at 2 months, they then get a tiered discount. And maybe everything 60 days or older gets a 10% discount. And in that same cell, anything 90 days or older gets a 20% discount, etc. So the older an item is, the deeper the discount, which is encouraging it to sell. And the one last piece of that puzzle that I do is I also fix my oldest listings each day, because I believe eBay says we've heard anywhere from 45 days to 6 months. And I tend to think it's probably on the 6 months that your listed item goes very stale and it really drops out of search. So I like to build in a practice of sorting all my active listings on eBay, oldest to newest, and then I will take a set amount. It's usually about 10 a day, and I will end those. I will relist them. I will correct the title. I will make sure the keywords are correct. I will double check the price. and those are like quasi new listings. You can do something similar on Poshmark. What I do on Poshmark, because I sell shoes over there, and I would say I'm probably about 60% eBay sells for shoes, but 40% on Poshmark. So it's really actually strong for shoes on Poshmark. So every Friday, the first Friday of the month, I drop all my prices on Poshmark 10% on everything. The second Friday, I drop an additional 10%. And I kind of do the same thing. Then the next Friday, it's 20, and I finish at a 30% discount. And so it's like this tiered approach to encourage sales. So I know I've been talking a lot, but I would just recommend, and there's a lot of different ways of doing it. Tech and Sports has a different model, but I think to be a successful reseller, you need to have some type of aged inventory system. So I'm kind of curious, what do you guys do for sales or to deal with older inventory?
Well, for me, I take it into the account of kind of like aged inventory when we hold auctions for the hats, when we got supply of hats constantly coming in. So I want to move as much of that inventory that I currently have out before I keep bringing more in. I don't want to mix the new with the old. So what I do is I run a 3 auction system. So I do auction 1, and then if it doesn't sell that night, I'll move it to auction 2, right? Well, then the auction 2 bin. So on those nights, I usually have, even Scott knows, I'll run a $2 start or whatever the auction would be on the very first night. And then the second night, it would be maybe it takes 2 weeks, or maybe I don't have enough to fill up for that second show yet, like whatever that is. When that bin fills up and I have enough for a show, that's the second run of those hats. They start at $1. And then the beauty of it is when they don't sell for that or start at it, you'll get another bin that fills up, which is like a hat lot bin. That's the third round. And then at the end of every show, what do? I run lots. I pull from there, and I'll put 3 or 4 hats up at $1 or $2 start. And it is so funny. Most of the time, I get more on the lots by doing them that way than I would have if I originally sold them for $2 a piece. So it's a good way of cycling the inventory, because a lot of times by the time you get to that third auction, or even by the chance of getting new sales, you got new customers viewing it who haven't seen it previously. So mine's more rotation based off of auction, but I think my view of what we do with that is changing now that the new LLC business for myself, it has a new eBay account. So we're going to have fun with that as well. What about you, Scott?
The older inventory, I've been trying to discount at a significant rate to get rid of it. This last weekend, I ran a garage sale at my house. We did a garage sale on Saturday, and we didn't do that great because it was really windy and our signs blew down, and the wind distracted a lot of people here in sunny California. But that got rid of a lot of older inventory. So I'm I'll have to run another one to get rid of a lot more, but I've sort of got rid of a lot of my older non-selling inventory out of my eBay account. So a lot of us, went for a couple bucks a piece, but it was nice to get that stuff moving and get it out. Now, I have been sending offers and running coupons and doing everything else to get that stuff listed, the older inventory out the door. And my sales have increased the last couple of days. I just had to drop off packages earlier because a couple of things sold today from my older inventory, which was nice. I like that feeling too. So both of those things help me out. Moving forward, I'm looking at sourcing better. Brian calls it niching down. Alton, he has his method, but I'm going to definitely try. Everybody has their own method, and I'm going to, going to the bins, you look at it, and they bring out a whole lot of shit. And you got to rein yourself in sometimes because, this is only a couple cents here and there. And
it still adds up.
It still adds up, and it might not sell. That's the other thing. So
yeah, I think that's the more important part is like if it doesn't sell or if it's got a very slow sell-through rate. Yeah. I'm having similar issues, Scott. Like my store, I'm at 5,800 items, and I actually looked at my sell-through rate for clothing versus shoes. So I've been making gut decisions. And what I saw, kind of like what Scott was talking about, it's tempting to buy things when they're really cheap because you're just thinking about the cost, but we're not thinking about the sell-through rate. We're not thinking about the cost of storing these items, of all that. So my 90-day sell-through rate for clothing is only 24%. So that's about 8% per month. And then I ran my shoe sell-through rate, and that was at 51% on a 90-day total. So over 2 times faster. And then when I look at the ASP, like my shoes are selling for about 35 versus clothing is 20. So shoes are selling faster and for more money than clothing. So I really want to use these tactics to get rid of my clothing and go just to a shoe store.
I know
sorry,
you've
I
tried
interrupted
that.
you, Scott.
No, I know you tried that a couple times, and I know it's a struggle sometimes to source shoes, but I think when you're going, because I see a lot of shoes at the bins too, and they all look like junk. There's only a couple pair that look good, but all these people are grabbing them. So because they're cheap. Yeah, it is insane. So I'm really trying to, like I said, rein it in. The garage sale made over $600, which is not a bad 4 or 5 hour day. Got rid of old inventory, and that's after renting tables and stuff like that. But and that's a windy day. We were hoping to get around 1,000. But things happen, and we're going to regroup. And the more narrow focused on hats and the other categories I want to go in. Video games, of course, that I'm in right now. That's always hot. And then looking at stuff to sell this summer. People are going to go outdoors more this year than they have any other year in the last couple of years, because everything is opened up pretty much here in California. So people are going to go outdoors, and they're going to need hiking shoes and stuff like that, and shorts and stuff like that. But
so just to follow up, I think you partially answered this. So when you say, because I've been dealing with this also. So when you say rein it in, and I would assume you mean you're looking for items with higher sell-through rate and or higher ASP. So what's the process of figuring that out? Are you studying Souls or using Terapeak? Are you looking things up?
I have looked at Terapeak, and I have knowledge from selling like video games and stuff before. Like Wii Sports, I picked that up, and Wii Resort yesterday. I know that sells, so it should sell in a day or two. But looking for those vintage stuff people are looking for. So I do look at Souls now. If it's anything out of the ordinary, which hasn't been a lot lately, but like today I picked up one of those Ronco rotisserie machines. I've sold one before, so I had to look it up again on the Souls and make sure it's still selling. So but mainly it's been hats and video games the last 2-3 weeks, and some little electronics here and there, but it's been really I know it's not a niche because I have a couple of them, but it's everybody's scrambling around because we all go in at the same time. Everybody's scrambling around to get their things, and they're noticing me just passing stuff up, and they're like looking at me like, what are you doing? Why are you reaching over to grab this vintage starter hat or whatever, so
I think the beauty of that too is if you build those relationships, sometimes you don't have to be picking that perfect item. They'll bring it to you. So don't
that happens. Yeah.
It happens a lot. Like, so as much as I would say them old ladies, they'll hip check you in a minute, boy. Like, I think that's that's the one part about the bins that if it starts happening, I have to force myself to leave because I don't want to be that person that hip checks back. Like,
but
I wish Clay was here, because Clay almost got into a fight at the bins.
Yeah, I'd like to hear that one. We have to bring him on as a special guest for that one.
I'll let him tell that story.
Yeah, I reached over to grab something from somebody, and I have long arms, and this guy I know, he's like, "Oh man, you reached over me." Da 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 da. I'm like, you're complaining about me when you do the same thing. You know, it's you got to bring your body armor when you come in there. You know, your guard and you know, have quick reflexes. You know, but
as that old saying, just be like, you snooze, you lose. Like,
right, exactly.
I mean,
it's
how many times have you lost out because you didn't quite get there in time, or
that happens? Yep,
it happens all the time. Like,
but garage sales is great for sourcing right now too. It's nice to go and you know go. Of course, like you, Brian, garage sales are pretty much year round, and I know Mike here. When he's here, he talks about garage sales all year around. But it's great to go garage sales because you could go at your own pace, you know, pretty much. And community sales are great and all that stuff. So, but
yeah, I think garage sales are amazing for everything sellers. Like this is something I'm trying to grapple with because I value my time also, and I know garage sales are great, but now that I'm just doing shoes, sometimes they can be hit or miss. Like I've had great shoe scores at garage sales, but you know, sometimes I can spend 4 hours and you know, only find a few pairs. So I'm trying to figure out if it's worth it or
you
not.
should came up to mine because my wife was selling shoes for $1, Nike shoes and all the stuff I was picking up, and she was selling for $1 out here. So before I knew what was going on,
don't tell me that, man.
So yeah,
killing me, Smalls.
But you know, she doesn't know. So just like when you go to garage sales, they don't know what they got most of the time. So
yeah, most people are just trying to get rid of it.
Most people are just trying to get rid of it. So, but you know, when you look at the grand scheme of things, we got 52 weeks out of the year. We're gonna have slow sales like we were talking about earlier, and then we're gonna have great sales like Q4 and stuff like that. Sometimes you have to take the good with the bad, but I think with you and Mike showing us, you know, these crazy numbers that you guys have been doing lately, you know, there's the hope for the rest of us. You know, you look around and you source great things and you get those sales. So
I think, I know we did an episode on consistency. I think it's just being consistent. And I think I love the idea of you niching down in video games and hats, especially hats, because there's so many hats available, and y'all do the auctions. Y'all know more about hats than I do. I dabble in it a little bit. But you know, there's a lot of bread and butter hats, and there's some vintage hats that are worth hundreds of dollars.
Mm-hmm.
So I love that category. Yeah, Alton's holding up. What was
I got a couple 49er hats that are drawing right now.
120 plus, but this is an all over. So when they made this, was an MLB print from the early 2000s. But the problem is that so it's got every team period. So the idea though behind it was that they had different colorways. Well, the white was the very first one, but it was the only one they put the neon green on. The rest of them had other colors, but none of them had the neon green stitching. So
it made me think of like the Boston Celtics when I first saw the colorway.
And new hats are selling for $100 and stuff like that. You just got to know what to grab. You know, there's the new era, collabs with all these different guys, and like the Doritos ones came out with the MLB a week ago or a week and a half ago, and they're this cool blue and everything. Those sold out in minutes. So
Scott remembers this one.
Yeah, right. Exactly right.
A vintage Pink Panther.
Yeah, and there's, like I said, I got a couple 49er hats that are worth $100, you know, vintage, you know, it's like, it's corduroy or logo athletic or, you know, starter or whatever. And
Pink Panther.
Yeah, because you know, it's crazy what you know is what you know, and then you can build off that. So, and you know that with shoes, you know.
Yeah, and that's the beauty, like, of hats, because there's so much to it. Like Alton was, you know, giving me a lesson on the green underbill and you know, the reflectivity of that and the age. I think that's one of the beauties of niching down is just that you become an expert. You have the time to study it, and you develop layers of knowledge that, you know, that a lot of people are going to pass by things that you're going to know. And we just don't have enough time. Like, we can be adequate as an everything seller. But I think probably a lot of everything sellers semi niche down. But like I think truly niching down in one or even maybe a couple of niches is very valuable.
Well, I think what you said three, 4 weeks ago, like if you see something and you know it's valuable, at a garage sale, you're going to pick it up.
Yeah, you're not going to walk away from it.
Yeah, you're not going to walk away from it. But like me and Alton, we've been going back and forth and showing us these cool finds that everybody else is passing up, and you look at them and just in awe of what he finds and what I find. And but I picked up $100 printer yesterday. I didn't want anything but the printer head, and I listed it today. $100. I'm not going to pass it up, and it costs like ounces to pick up, and I will sell within a couple days. So
that's the way. It is.
HP Office Jet Pro ... is the ones for $100. 110, 100. 8600, 8610.
Here's my problem. I work in IT for a living, so when I see like printers, especially, or I've replaced countless thousands of printer heads and roller systems, and it's not hard stuff, but when you do it thousands and thousands of times for a job, that is the one thing I care not to list. So honestly, don't care if I make $50 to $100. I'm not.
If you look at the solds for computer parts, well, you sold some of those computer parts. They sell quick on
I'll
eBay.
Sell like memory or like a processor, something light. Doesn't really. I couldn't do the heavy.
Or those $500 golf clubs that I sold last week and a half ago. Everybody walked. Well, there's not everybody, but people were walking by them. I'm like, they'll be walking by these Callaways.
Yeah, and that's where Mike and or Kevin would be like all up on those. But it seems like y'all have gained a good knowledge of a lot of different products, and I think like we were talking about this in the group that there's an element of fun, like when you're doing different things. And niching down can be boring. It's very efficient, but it can be boring. So, I don't think there's necessarily anything wrong with selling everything, to be honest. It depends on your goals. For me, and this is the other thing, like with shoes, I enjoy listing shoes more than I do clothing. And I seem to be better at it.
Me and Alton were talking a little bit earlier about listing a jacket. It's like it's like I don't want to list it. It's a nice Bulls jacket. He has a nice MLB jacket. And
I bit the bullet. I bit the bullet today, and I listed two pieces of clothing, a jacket and a shirt. I was like, I broke
shirts
the ice.
Are so easy.
And it was nice to be able to just lay it out front and back, whatever. It was great, but the idea of the measuring and and I actually had to go research it because I haven't listed a shirt in so long. I forgot. Do you measure from this one or do you measure from the actual top? And it's from the very back, the top. So I had to go and double check, so I didn't want to do it wrong.
And here's the funny thing about niching down. Like I actually time myself when I'm doing these. So like if I'm listing a jacket, a shirt, a pair of jeans, in 80 seconds, I am able to put it on the photo booth, take 10 to 12 pictures, do the measurements, and then put it in the pile. Mm-hmm. So, like, it's kind of funny hearing someone else say, "Man, like that's hard." I mean, anything's hard if you do it a lot, it becomes easy. Like, basically, just a little bit over a minute, I'm done with it, and then maybe another 2 to 3 minutes to actually list it. So, you're talking no more than 5 minutes to get that listing up.
Well, that's like me with Funko Pops because I know exactly what pictures to take, at every single side, pretty much it's front, side, back, other side, top and bottom, X amount of pictures. I know how to do them really quick. I already know what to do to listing. Like I did a couple of those and I had like maybe 3 minutes each in them. So it's just a matter of what you're used to listing. You're right on that. So. Yeah. But shirt, I had to lay it out. I'm like, okay, does that look good? Or, like I wasn't used to it. So it's just a matter of me getting used to that process. But You know,
And that's the thing. So if you're a true everything seller and you're really selling everything, your listing day is hard because maybe you're listing a cool shirt and then you've got to list a printer and then you've got to figure out a VCR. Then you've got to turn around and figure out a baseball bat. And then you got to turn around and figure out golf clubs. And beyond the inventory and the pictures, which are a pain in the butt enough, a lot of that time is going to be spent on researching. Because like for you, Alton, with Funko Pops, you probably have a good baseline on the pricing on a lot of these. And if you don't, you could probably find that price really quickly.
Yep.
But for me, if I go, the photographs would be quick for me on a Funko. What's going to get me is the research. And I do think at a certain point, if you can sell in one category, you can sell in another. It would take me a lot more time at the beginning, and the more I did it, I would get faster. So I would just say if you're truly selling everything, man, that's a long, hard day.
Well, I think the only way around that, if you're a true everything seller, like me and Scott float that, depending on what we're doing, we kind of niche down, but we still have our wings spread out for the opportunities. But I think the way that you look at it is, if you were a true everything seller, is your listing day doesn't have to be that complicated. It could be more, maybe organization is your power, right? Like if you look at it that way. So like your power is, hey, repetition. I know exactly what I got to do. Maybe the organization of, hey, today I've got 30 t-shirts that I need to get listed. I'm focusing on getting those done. And then, yeah, you might be sitting on other inventory, or like Scott might come up with, hey, I got 10 printer heads I got to get listed. Knock those out, make them in bunches, be more organized. I couldn't go from doing a printer head to a t-shirt to a Funko Pop. Like my brain would be so far over, I wouldn't even enjoy that at all. So,
But I agree with you. I agree with you, Alton. But I'm just going to play devil's advocate a little bit here, because Mike's not here tonight. But Mike said this, and Scott just said it, and I know you've said it, that even if you have something valuable that you just don't feel like listing it, so it'll sit not making you money for days or sometimes weeks. I know Clay's not here in the chat, but Clay's notorious about this, and I give him a hard time. Like a death pile with just money. I'm like, why are you buying things, especially months? So I think there is a factor of, I don't know what it is, like the I want to or I don't want to. It's kind of irrational. You've got money here, and it's really not that hard to list any of these things, but we kind of have these preferences of what we like to list. And I think sometimes that can bite us in the butt.
Oh yeah, I mean, I agree with that. I mean, I think of more of, it's not that I really don't want to, but I think like instead of me being all over the place, like if I have things to list, like yes, I waited an extra week to finally break down, but I also had a box of clothing that was being delivered for a trade with a viewer that came in today. So I was more incentivized to do it all together at one time and more plan around my schedule. So yes, in a normal aspect, I would have already had that listed, but a few other things rolling. But from now on, I think there's other good rules that I have, like for me, some of the yard sale stuff, like I'd like it to be posted that weekend. Don't buy it if you don't intend on listing it that weekend. Like,
well, today my day was started off by listing a few video games, including the Wii Sports and the Wii Resort, and then it went to the printer head. So I listed a couple of those, and then went on. And then what bogged down my day today was I was trying to list an iPhone 4, which you guys know is worth maybe tops $20 on a good day. And
it's amazing how that thing dropped in value.
And I spent the most time trying to list that damn iPhone 4, and I still don't have it listed. And I was trying to download iTunes to my computer so I could get it unlocked. And I just gave up. I just said I'm going to list it for parts tomorrow. But we're talking about $100 items. I could be listing those $100 hats that are dry now, and the printer heads and all this stuff. And I was bogged down by a $20 iPhone 4. So
I think that's the part of either organization or or
But
just
it was
like,
the
time's
next
right.
thing on the list. Yeah, it was the next thing on the list. It was ready. I thought it was going to be super easy. What's more easier than listing an iPhone 4? I
But
just put
but here's the thing, Scott. So if you focus just on cell phones, if you were
yeah,
a cell phone seller, that would be easy for you because you
it
already have
would
all the
have been
systems set down. It would be quick.
exactly. Yeah,
Whereas as in everything, like you said, you didn't know how to do this and you had to download this and you get frustrated. And yeah, I feel that. I feel that.
so I couldn't believe it. At the end of the day, I spent the most time out of all those things because everything else was quick. Within an hour, I had everything else listed, and then
Well, caps are easy to list, right? You're not going to have
caps
to
are
download
easy.
anything.
Video games are easy to list. Those were threw them in a couple seconds, tested, because I have my testing station for my Wii and my PS2s and Xbox and all that stuff. But yeah, that freaking iPhone killed me today. So yeah, it can definitely bog you down being an everything seller by doing stuff like that. I could have listed 10 other hats.
And I would even say, all right, so niching down has its advantages. And I think even being niched down, like my niche of shoes has its own pros and cons. Like one of the big cons for shoes is the cleaning, right? So I can buy a shoe that can be worth money, but it may be dirty as hell. And I have to be careful about the time I'm going to spend, because if I spend 15, 20, 30 minutes on that shoe, well, my price, I like to think of the efficiency in the earnings per hour. So we have to be careful. I think you're right. I think we have to keep in the back of our mind, like the profit on this item versus the time I'm spending on it. Because if you spend a whole hour on that $20 iPhone 4, let's say you finally get it, unlocked and ready to go. It's listed. You've spent an hour on a $20 profit item, where in an hour you probably could have listed 10 to 15 hats. And even if those hats were only $10 profit each, there's 100 to 150 per hour. So yeah, I just think we need to keep that in the back of our mind. And obviously you were, because eventually you threw it away.
Yeah, it's going to be listen for parts. Yeah,
screw this.
Yep, listen for parts. Take the $10 and move on to the next thing. Because
maybe you should just hold it, because eventually it'll probably be worth a lot of money.
The vintage, if I could ever get it unlocked, yep, that's
that's what 2008, 2009. Was that right?
I think it
no, wait, that was 2012.
Yeah, a little bit.
That's insane.
Yeah, the craziness and the 13s and 14s are coming out soon, so the 14s are coming out. So. And
I wonder what the original iPhones are going for.
I know those iPod shuffles and everything, those still go for good money.
Now the first one, the original iPod that came out, the very first one, I forgot what it was, but it was just the all silver back. And actually, I sold one of those for like $700 when they first had an issue, because they were offering a lifetime replacement. So it didn't matter what generation at the time, they were having issues with them. They were offering to get them back, and they were sending out the newest generation iPod with all this bonuses just to get the old hardware back. There was something that they needed out of it. So, and it was like insane amounts of money they were getting on eBay, because people were buying those, and it was just the price kept going up.
Right.
I was like, oh my God. So,
well, that's another thing. I saw people scrambling over Legos, loose Legos in the bins earlier today, and there's 4 or 5 of them over there. And I'm like, oh my God, I wouldn't want to list those either. So
I think we should have a call just on bins. Like maybe next week we can do a call on bins etiquette and do's and don'ts, because I know a lot of people are scared of going to the bins. Like my daughter's boyfriend, he dabbles in reselling, and he was going to go to the bins today for the first time. He was asking for some advice, and I know in the group a lot of people are nervous about that. So maybe next week we can do a bins episode.
Yeah, I don't think that's something that I don't think you should be nervous, but I think you should be cautious.
You should know what you're getting into. That's for sure.
And I really think we can say that for next week. But the biggest takeaway I could tell you is if you keep your expectations low, you won't be disappointed. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, I don't expect to find anything. So that way, if I find 10 hats, I'm happy. Or whatever it is, I'm happy. So I think that's the thing. If you go in expecting, oh, there's going to be home runs, and you don't, now you've already set yourself up for failure. So I think that's the first thing is your mindset of the bins. You know what is coming in there. This is pretty much the bottom end per se.
Is the bottom end. It's the last before it goes off to the.
But saying that, like I almost always come out there with home runs. If not home runs, at least
we would go.
We're not talking about the product being bottom end. We're talking about in the stage in which you obtain
the cycle.
The cycle. So if you think about it from retail, use of a customer,
but it's not. It's actually not the very bottom, because from there, it's going to go to rag houses and eventually overseas.
Okay, so let me put it this way: in most cases, right? Most people don't know how to go to a rag house, or I'm talking about the accessibility of something at $1.39 or $1.69 a pound. At that point, at what point is a customer or consumer still willing to go after it unless they're a reseller or with that knowledge? So when I say the bottom end, you're fighting the people who don't really probably know the other part. So I think that's what I'm in is you have a level in which people are willing to go. Not that we're willing to go further, but how far are they willing to go down? And that's when you start getting problems. So
I'm going all the way to the bottom, man. I want to go to a rag house. I want to.
In the comments
that'd be a fun live. We visit a rag house, that'd be cool.
On the spring update, he says there's Legos and other categories, block toy categories. But anything interesting in the spring update? Because I didn't get to check that out. So
I honestly have not.
We'll have to review that. Maybe
we'll have to review. I'll have to review that
combo for next week. We'll what did the spring update bring, and also let's talk bins or something. So
okay, sounds good.
Yeah, so that'll be cool for that. So, but yeah, I think the main takeaway is just I don't know, increasing your sales. I think Brian's tactic. I mean, it helped Brian in our group. So another Brian in our group.
Mm-hmm.
It's helped him a lot, and it'll be interesting with me pushing this new eBay store through the new company, how it's going to affect me. So I won't be able to start knowing how that cycle is going to work till 3 or 4 months down the road, because the way Brian's thing is promoted after 30 days. After that, it's 10%. So it's 3 or 4 months down the line before we can really see if the 10% per the month age is going to help my store or not. So we'll see. So
but you could like whenever you do it, like you're going to have items in your store right now that are a few months old. So if you started a markdown sale, say starting tomorrow, those items would go into effect. So it's like once it starts, it kind of keeps going. But unless you're starting from day one,
we started day one. Yeah, we started this new one day one. So yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So we started fresh with this, and it's going to be a fun little adventure for the Too Addicted business for the LLC. So I can't wait.
Nice. Yeah. We're going to do sales, I guess, at this point.
Well, I can.
I've got one pulled up.
This is great for next week. Alton will have some sales, so he can pull up.
I'll probably have some sales next week, hopefully. Yeah. So
here, I'll start while we're good.
We will see. Here's hoping.
All right. Just let me know when it's up.
All right, there we go. All right, Brian, you're up.
All right, so this was a recent sell, and this is one of the reasons I'm moving into shoes. Is the ASP. These are a pair of vintage Fry boots, the tall boots, and I actually picked these up on $1 day. These were tagged $1. Like obviously, a lot of people walked by these boots. and did not realize that these are fry boots. Number one, they didn't realize they were fry boots, or they don't know what fry boots are worth. Frye, Frye, is a brand. They sell men's and women's boots. It's a high end brand, and I'm always on the lookout for these because they almost always go for 70 plus. Oftentimes I'll get over 100. I sold these for $85.49 plus $14.99 shipping. Paid $1, and they sold within probably a week or two of getting them.
Nice.
So Frye, if you're unaware of Frye is definitely a brand of boots to be on the lookout for.
Sweet.
Well, I can tell y'all my sale because it was on our Whatnot auction. I don't know if Scott was present for this, but
it was at the end, right?
It was at the end. I sold a trifecta: the Michael Jordan, the Dennis Rodman, Scottie Pippen vintage hat. That was a single owner. It was mine from when I was a kid. It was one of my first adult hats, but I had kept it put away. Ended up selling it for like $75, I think it was. So, and it was great. I was able to turn it. So that was my sale, but it was just a nice old vintage piece. So
nice.
Very nice. All right. Let me share mine. All right. All right. Grab my screen.
There we go. You're up.
All right. This baseball season is here. This is a San Francisco Giants majestic women's jacket. So it sold per vote listing. I didn't get the $159. I got $100, but this is a nice jacket right here. So
was that a Ben's find? Speaking
this
of
was a Ben's find, so I had less than $2 into it. So yeah.
Nice. Oh, look at that tape measure.
I know, right? You guys taught me well. So yeah, 106 was the out the door with the shipping. I did charge up on shipping. I didn't realize I charged them that much, but when they made the offer, I took it because of the shipping. So because they started off really low too. They started off with like $50 or whatever, but I did get them up and got them up to 80, and I was happy. They were happy, and it sold within a week and a half. So Ben's
Nice,
fine. That is the thing. There is home runs in the Ben's, but there's also bread and butter, and they both sell. So,
well, and I think that's a good store mix. Like a lot of bread and butter. Like if you think about, obviously the metaphor is a dinner, right? Like you're gonna have a lot of the basics. Like when Val, we said chicken and quinoa. Like that bread and butter may not be good for you, but like you're eating your chicken, your bread, your veggies, and maybe for dessert you're gonna find a jacket, a pair of fry boots. And I will say, I love seeing what Mike pulls. I'm kind of glad he's not here tonight because I don't want to see another $500 freaking sell making us feel like
Yeah. I mean, as part of it was I had to step up my game. I was like, I needed like an $80 piece. Like I do well overall in volume when we do our auctions, but like,
of course, yes,
anywhere between like it depends. It could be $100 night all the way up to like a $300 or $400 night, and that's an hour and a half of our time. So like that's a lot of money in just 1 hour or whatever. So
yeah,
but when he comes up with his $500 sales, you're just like,
yeah,
I didn't do anything. Like it makes you feel like, man, I could do a lot more. So
and I agree with that. He does great. And to be balanced, like he was also sharing with us, the problem with those big sales, you also can get, like he had a massive return that eBay's forcing on him, even though it's not right. That's like $1,000 down the drain. So there are pros and cons, definitely more pros than cons, but if you're selling those big ticket items, you got to make sure. We know Mike knows how to play that game, but something you got to be prepared for.
And he also sells bread and butter. He does the little things too. So he likes to brag about the $500 ones. So
he sells a lot of
Walmart. Exactly. Yeah, he does, and we love Mike. So. We miss him and hope he comes back next week.
Yeah, he messaged. He's like, yeah, guys, I'm not going to make this show tonight. Yeah. But you know what? This is his brag. I'm going to help him brag. He said, I'm not making this show. I got too many items to ship.
Too many orders to ship, yep.
I'm like,
yeah, must be a big problem.
of a reason to have to miss this show is that you ain't got time to get your stuff out the door.
And remember, he's part-time too. So that's
he is part-time.
So
So
I don't know how he does it all. It's insane. Like he defies every rule. He's the only person I know that can do so many things so well. Like he's it. Kudos to Mike.
Yep.
Absolutely. All right,
So-
fellas. Well, we will be back on Thursday of next week. Hopefully, we'll be talking more about bins, and we're going to review that spring update for sure because it seems like there might be some interesting stuff coming out for that. So, all right, we will see y'all on Thursday.